Welcome to the intersection of technology, cybersecurity, and society. Welcome to ITSP Magazine Podcast Radio. You're about to listen to an episode of Through the TechVine. So be quiet, pay attention, and get inspired. There is one truth that is not told enough. Technology is not magic, but it can be magical. Technology is human. It is part of who we are, our evolution, our future. Will it be a dystopian or utopian one? Well, that is up to us and nobody else. Knowledge is power, now more than ever. Blue Lava is the first business platform for CISOs to manage their security program. Blue Lava guides security leaders to effectively measure, optimize, and communicate their security program with confidence and ease in one platform. Learn more at bluelava.net.
All right, listen up, kids. Class is about to start.
You don't like that, huh, Sean? You don't want to be a kid?
I guess I'm a kid today.
Well, it's hard.
You're putting me in the corner, Marco.
It depends how you behave. You may have a hat that looks like a donkey, like Pinocchio.
Oh, dear.
How'd you know? You can't even see me.
Is that what you're wearing? Oh, you are Pinocchio for Halloween. I see. Is that what it is?
I'm getting started early. Yes.
Nice.
Very, very good. Exciting. This is episode number 20. Believe it or not, is a milestone for
How do you spell that?
TechVine. 20. 20.
All right.
That's how I spell that.
Seeing how your mind works on spelling it.
20. And it's a big day because we have another guest. Diana, we are in a roll. You remember
Crazy.
when we didn't have any friends?
I know, and now suddenly we've got lots of friends, and it's beautiful.
We're the popular kids. I don't know why I'm going school theme today, but everything in my head is a class, a lesson, and being popular in school or not. So, Sean, do you want to introduce our guest?
No. No, I haven't.
He's a fighter today. He just want to pick up a fight.
You're in a mood.
Yeah.
It would be my honor
Do
to
that.
introduce our good friend Philip Wylie, the hacker maker, as he's known. And I have guests outside approving and calling you
Somebody's
that.
happy.
They're honking in support.
Yes, they love Philip.
Honk if you like
doesn't?
hackers.
Oh, you like that.
Exactly.
Exactly. Philip, it's great to have you on, man. Yeah, look at that.
Look at that.
We're
Woo!
in serious support of you, Philip.
Well, thanks for having me. It's an honor to be on your show. As with everything else you guys do, you do great work, and very cool to be on something new that you guys are doing. I mean, so thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And the big question here is, where and how do you make hackers? Do you buy them in a store? Do you train them? Is it something they're just born like that? Because
They come in a box.
I think you had water. You had water.
Add
in the
water.
start. Yeah.
Water, that's right.
Is
Turn
that
the light off, buy a hoodie.
get some gloves?
Add Mountain Dew,
chains?
maybe, instead of water.
Is that how it works, Phil?
No, it's it can be it could be a hard process depending on the person, because you have some people that are just naturally gifted that they pick up stuff real easy. Then you got people that are really persistent that spend long hours learning. So it's not always easy. It's one of the hardest things for me to learn. I've worked as a sysadmin, a AutoCAD drafter, and did network security, application security, and hacking was one of the most difficult things for me to learn. Some people pick it up quicker, but it wasn't easy for me, and it's not always easy for everyone.
I think that there is this urban legend that hackers always come from the dark side and then eventually
Nah.
become the good one. Well, in the news, usually it's like that. We know it's not true. No, it's not true.
I
But,
mean, yeah.
but we got to fight that legend.
Those are the stories that get the attention, right? Evil turns good.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just like the news has turned the hacker turned bad. When the term hacker first came out, it was really more or less programmers and inventors, and to sensationalize news articles about cyber attackers, they termed them hackers. And so it's kind of a challenge to try to get the story straight, or at least share that there's more than the bad guys. The good guys use hacking as well. I mean, it's like a locksmith. Picking locks, if you have permission, is a highly needed skill, but if you do it illegally, then same thing with the skill of hacking into things. As long as you're doing it for good, that's a good thing. So
And it was. I mean, so when it originated decades ago at MIT, it was really a word to celebrate engineering ingenuity, because the early hackers would do things like take a car apart and reassemble it on top of a building, which is like, I mean, that takes a lot of skill, a lot of knowledge, right? There was nothing illegal about it. They also rolled somebody named Smoot across a bridge and painted it. I'm not sure why that got into the but now it's been turned into that it unfortunately became like some criminal name rather than just really engineers trying to figure out how things work. And then when you find out where there are vulnerabilities, when you understand how it works, you can help others to make it stronger.
yeah, and it's really kind of hard to undo that. And then going back to the original roots, you see the hackathons that still go on. Usually that's something programming related. So So it's good that there's people that support hackers and are trying to show that they do good things too as well. So, like hacking is not a crime. Organization Chloe Mistagi founded, she's, that group has been doing things to try to help the name of hackers, as well as Chris Roberts before Chloe and Brian got Hacking's Not a Crime started. He was out there trying to show people that we're not all bad.
Yep.
That's right.
A lot of friends there trying to do the right thing, but I don't know. I feel like, we're kind of late at the party in a way, because every time I sometimes listen to the news in Italian so I don't forget the language, and they don't even try there. I mean, I listen to the main radio when something happened that is a cyber crime. It's a hack. It's not even, something around it. It's just like, if it's hacked, it's bad. And I don't know how we're going to backtrack from there, but I still trust it. I'm still going to bottle this.
Yeah, we
not
can't
giving up.
We can't give up, but I mean, there's people in our industry that should know better that still refer to cyber criminals as hackers. They don't use the right terminology.
That's pissed me off even more.
Yeah,
because the people in the industry, the people that are actually hackers, they should help us with that.
So the media and marketing teams need to be put in the corner, Marco.
My baby.
Yep. I'm gonna do it old school. I'm gonna put some some little stone in the corner, and then they have to kneel on it. And wow, I'm really
That sounds creepy.
Well, that's how they used to do. I don't know. I have Pinocchio in my head. As a little kid, I read that, and that's what they did back in the days. Now it will be like all over the news.
That's right. Yeah, now you'd be in trouble.
Time have changed. That's for sure. That's for sure. And I have a cool news. I think. Well, it's not a cool news per se because it goes in the history of technology news, but I pick it just because I know Phil well enough, and I know one of his passions. So I cannot wait to unveil that one. I think it's going to be a good conversation about something that we used to use in the past quite a bit, and now we don't use it anymore. It's become a vintage items, but we'll get there. We'll get there. Are you guys ready to start with the news?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Sean, same. We keep the tradition. Diana, start.
We have to keep the tradition, absolutely.
The tradition, Diana.
Okay. All right. So today I'm going to mix a little bit of tech, a historical tech with modern tech, and bring in art too. So Marco, this is kind of for you.
Love it.
Yeah, so this one is that historically, 2,500 years ago, pottery was used and it was very popular for, decoration and telling stories, ode on a Grecian urn kind of stories, right? And in Athens, Greek heroes like Heracles, who was known to the Romans as Hercules, or for any fans of Eddie Murphy's clump themed oeuvre, Hercules, with the clap, right? Hercules, yeah. They were very popular figures to put on these vases. So Hercules was a popular one. And the style of the time was that when you'd create one of these vases, that you would paint the character in black and then you would fire it. And so all of them were coming out with these black characters on the urns, black inked characters. And one day a potter, and historians believe he was named Antiquides. I don't know if it's pretty hard when you go back 2,500 years. So if I've misattributed the correct potter, then maybe the descendants will let me know, but historians think it was Antiquides. Thought that, hey, let's mix things up rather than using black ink to paint the character. Why don't we try a different color? Why don't we try red? That would be really interesting. But it was actually technically really hard to accomplish creating a red figurine rather than using the traditional black figurines, because the way that they created black was they would put it in the kiln and then the smoke turned it black. So even if you painted in advance, it would be hard to get red paint. But what this potter found out was that if you actually went to sort of 11 with the fire, which was incredibly hard to do because, they were using wood. And, if you've ever cooked outside using wood as your fire source, it can be pretty hard to get the temperature right compared to when you're cooking on a gas stove or anything. But Antiquides figured it out. He did, in fact, succeed in creating for this one pot. It was Hercules chasing a bull, I think, was able to create that figurine in red by using by essentially creating a new technology. And there are still 55 of those vases today still in existence that showed those very early implementations of that techniques. And, the question is, though, if if any of us, Phil or Sean or Marco, if we went to a museum and we saw one of those 55 vases, would we look at it and go, that's a lovely antique red and black vase, and look, Hercules is red? Or would we think, oh my God, we're looking at this incredible change that was, really moved forward how pottery was done 2,500 years ago? We'd probably just think, that's really nice, and kind of move on. So that's where we get to the modern technology, which is museums trying to bring this sort of context enrichment of that story I just told, but how can you bring that in and help people experience it when they're going through a museum? And at the Museum of Fine Arts Boston, in collaboration with Zeta Media, which is a company in Cyprus, they created this short animation called How to Make an Athenian Vase, which shows that aha moment that Antiquides had and came up with the idea to use the red and figured out the technology to create that red coloring on the fired pot. So now visitors, when they go to the museum, they can see the pot, but they can also see this little short film that creates a little bit of that aha thrill for themselves and creates this context-rich environment to experience the art in, which I absolutely love, because one of the main complaints you hear from people sometimes if you're in a foreign country or a foreign city and you say, let's go to the museum, they're like, it's boring or it's flat. It just doesn't feel like it has anything to do with their life. And this now brings people into the experience of art. And a couple of other things that they're using multimedia for. One is that Van Gogh exhibit, which is massive multimedia, which really changes the art and allows you to be immersive in it. But there are multimedia experiences that don't really change the art the way that it reminds me of, remember when they were colorizing all those black and white movies? And a lot of folks were like, oh my God, we've destroyed these beautiful films and all the shadows and how they were shot. It just isn't the same when it's colorized. So they're not doing that for this multimedia art. What they're doing is they're trying to give an overlay or an extra experience. So one example is when we go to see the very ancient statues, right? They always seem to have broken noses and no arms. And we don't know if they were just one color when they were being displayed or if they had multiple colors. So you still look at the statue, it's still there. You still see it in its present reality, but now you can overlay or have on the side. And I think your dog is excited about that. They can
She loves it. She loves it.
overlay or have on the side like a colorized complete model. So you're not replacing the art like with the black and white colorization. You're just giving people another way to experience the art so that they can contextualize it, kind of feel like if they were there when it was actually being done, when it was made and when it was first seen. So I thought that was really cool. So that was my tech.
That is really cool. Should I go?
Yeah.
Okay.
Go.
I think the key for this understanding art and even technology, you always have to contextualize it. When was this done? Right?
Or you go in the corner.
Or you go in the corner. I'm having fun reading now or very old book, like for example, I'm trying because it's really tough. The Hunchback of Notre Dame, right? Victor Hugo.
Yeah.
It's tough. I mean, the way that they write back then, just to get into the, into the pathos, into the action, it takes the hell forever. The language is different. And you may think like, what they're talking about here, right? But you have to put yourself into that mindset of when this was written. And if you watch the movies, as you said, from the 60s, the 50s, the 30s, or even the 80s, they seem so stupid sometimes, the way that we're used to this fast action nowadays. And you're like, wait a minute, but this was done back then. What kind of technology did we have then? And based on that, is this a masterpiece or not?
Yeah.
So my mental work here is, it's always that, is don't judge it by what you do know now, but what they do knew back then.
Yeah, and even I remember when I was in college that at one point at one of my classes, someone said, "Why can't Shakespeare just write in English?" And I got,
guess what?
I sort of got where he was coming from, because that it's hard sometimes to get your mind, or if you want to even go back like earlier, like Beowulf or Chaucer and the Canterbury Tales, it does feel kind of like, why can't they write in English? Because it can feel so distant from us. But when you understand a little bit about the history and the time and also how they used the language differently, then it can become very vibrant. And we do see this with Victor Hugo, Hunchback of Notre Dame, right? Disney created a whole story about it, that was a cartoon that the children loved. So they were able to bring the story forward, even though I think having 8-year-old kids probably read Hugo in the original French would, and even for French kids might be a little bit, or for native French speakers might be a little difficult.
Yeah, we need to translate the Divine Comedy when we read that. It's Italian of the time. It's not. It's not really Italian, but many other piece of art and literature, you have to translate it for sure.
Yeah.
Philip, you love movies. I know that.
Ooh.
Oh, yes.
What's your take on that when you watch like a classic or an old movie? How do you get into understanding the value of it?
It's really interesting, and that you mentioned that. One of the things that I was reminded of recently is watching some older movies, and it's interesting to see how talented some of the child actors were back then. Acting's been around a lot longer, and there's a lot more opportunities for education in that area. But really kind of amazing. One of the ones that just kind of surprised me was like a John Voight movie, The Champ, or something like that. Rick Schroeder was in it, and he did a pretty good job as a kid, doing the acting in that film. So it's really, I think when we get into the older arts and stuff, there's a lot more that had to be done than now. Things are so automated. You have CGI and the advantages of some of these different schools that people didn't have one time, but just like going back to the vase, you think about all the effort that goes into that now. You throw something on a 3D printer nowadays, although there's some things that go into it, but just how much easier it is to produce those things, that I think people sometimes don't appreciate it when you think about the time and effort it took to originally do those sort of crafts.
Well, it begs a question for me. When it's easy, do we appreciate it? When it's something 3D printed, is it novel and unique and kind of cool, but throwaway because who cares? It printed in a few minutes. And I counter that with the complexity and sticking with the movie idea. I mean, how much visual effects and music and the switching of the angles of the camera and how many multiple cameras, maybe there's even, I don't even know what the technology is, but the cameras that move around so you get the 3D feel of it, versus some of the older movies where you're really relying on the actors portraying and telling a story, and you don't have as much impact from the music and from the special effects and all the other stuff that goes around it. And are we as humans like aching for that complex, very creative, multifaceted thing, or can we appreciate something simple from the past?
That's a good point. Like, do we have to work for it?
I don't think we appreciate anything. But
yeah, like, do we have to work for it? Like the Little Prince and his rose. And the more we work for it, the more we appreciate it.
But the vase example is perfect because it's simple now, although you probably can't recreate it as beautiful as they were done at the time with that technology. But that time, that technology was the 3D printing of today. You know,
that's a good point.
You know, you can look at I don't remember the name of the cave, but the most ancient art find inside the cave in France. I'm blinking on the name. But anyway, it's depicting bull and bisons and hunting, and it's really much sticky figures in a way. And you're like, what? That's like kid did that? No, somebody actually figured out something that didn't exist at the time. That he could paint on the wall, express themselves, and the technology that they had at the time was that probably just some piece of wood that was burning the fire and use it to paint, or I think they use that their colorant as well. So we're too easy to judge based on what we know today, you know.
Yeah.
And that goes with computers too. I mean, it's like floppy disk. What can I put in there? And not like I got 1 gigabyte download, but try with a dial-up modem 25 years ago, 30 years ago. And we're just can't even wait for that 2 gigabyte video to download.
Yeah, we're used to it. So way back in the day, it wasn't even a disc. It was to use basically a tape to put things into the computer. I remember my first hard drive was 10 megabytes, and I was like over the moon. I thought I had infinite storage.
Yeah, you can store an entire book in there.
So can we not appreciate it because it's not old enough to those technologies?
Maybe.
Or were they just really not very good?
There is always that threshold that has to cut. Like,
nostalgic.
Stuff get old, and then first outdated, then old, and then all of a sudden it become vintage and acquire value again. And if you're lucky, it becomes antique, and that's when it's really worth a lot of money. So I don't know. You may not throw anything, like my parents, and I'm like, well, if you wait for that to take value, we're done. But I don't know. Well, you never know.
So
there are plenty of people that collect things like that.
Supposedly that vinyl records are so in demand that they can't keep up with the manufacturing, because a lot of the manufacturing capability was modernized for
I almost brought that news today.
Okay.
Let me see. Just a side tangent, because let me see if I can find it. Vinyl sales see a 94% increase.
It's crazy.
This year.
Consider it was zero. It's
94% increase.
It's incredible. The book industry last year went up 21%.
$7 million market value.
Yeah, and books are coming back too, Sean.
Physical books, and now they're having problem printing them because of the disruption of the production chain and how they switch from making papers and making card books because of the shipping through the pandemic and COVID. This is all complex thing. It's crazy. Back to the future.
Back to the future. That's it. Yeah. Phil, you're going to bring us back to the future. I heard you have something about vintage computers. Is that true?
quite the opposite. So
I know. I know. I was teasing.
So yeah, being a fan of Apple computers and the Macs, I was pretty excited that this week that they released the new processors and the new models of MacBook Pros come out. They released the M1 Pro and the M1 Max. I actually got one of the M1 MacBook Pros back towards the end of last year and really liked it. And so I was excited to see what would happen. But as anyone that buys Apple products, then you kind of get frustrated that they're coming out with something a year or 6 months later that's better and faster than what you had. So it's pretty impressive, because I mean, the M1 Pro has up to 32 gigabytes of RAM. Previously on the M1 chips, the most you could get was 16 gigs. Now with the M1 Pro, you can get 32 gigs. With the M1 Max, you get 64 gigabytes. So before this come out, I was really wondering what the future was going to be like for their servers and some of their tower computers, because I'm thinking you had these, what are you going to do to replace the chips there, because the memory was only like 16 gigabytes and so forth. So they're starting to improve. So it's got me really looking forward to seeing what they come out with as far as their servers. I was in a computer store recently looking at one of their servers, and one of the things I'm also a fan of their products is just the aesthetics. They really make nice looking products compared to some of the other computer companies in the industry, and you see a lot of those other companies kind of copy the look of some of the Mac products. But so just the technology and everything, it's pretty cool. It's really interesting that they combine everything on a single chip. You've got the processor, you've got the memory. So downside is you can't add more memory, but Apple kind of got that way with their computers several years back, that you couldn't upgrade memory. You had to buy, the amount of memory you wanted at the time. So it's really cool that the memory is on the same chip. It's shared between the CPU and the graphics processor, which is going to make it faster. You're not having to go across the bus of the motherboard and all that. So pretty exciting. And especially also too, it's all ARM processors. So that's really cool that they're moving into that area, lower power. And
Phil,
I'm looking forward to playing my vinyl on it.
Yeah, there you go.
Hey, why not? So for the people that are maybe not too technical, give us a couple of examples, because to me, this seems like one of those, Apple and other companies, they give you something new every year. We've been through this in the past with like, keep what works for you, but we're not going there today. But once in a while, there is actually the really big break that is an innovation. So this chip that they just released, and they were testing it already on the iPad Pro. And so it seems to me that really allowing some kind of a revolution on the way that we do things. So can you put a couple of practical examples of why this is, in your opinion, so exciting as a news?
Yeah, I think it's where I really think it's exciting is you go back, you look at the ARM processors, because, we've had the 64-bit Intel-based processors, because at one time, you had the Power PC that IBM created, which actually at one point was the processor that Apple used in their products. And you had, there were so many, trying to remember some of the processors, because in my sysadmin days, I started out in 97, and there were several different architectures. And so people started kind of settling on the Intel processors.
Yes.
Mac was using the Intel processors in their devices until they came out with their own. But the idea of the ARM processors taking less energy, that was kind of popularized in some of your IoT devices and some of your computing platforms like Raspberry Pis. And me personally, I never thought it would scale to be that powerful, but they've shown like benchmarks comparing like the Intel i9 processor compared to the M1 that was the processor that came out last year. The first version of the Intel, they also refer to as not Intel, but the Apple M1 is also referred to as Apple Silicon. They started creating their own chip. So some of that should benefit us as consumers is hopefully to keep the prices down as well. They're creating their own processors instead of having to purchase processors from Intel. And then as far as like the software, they're making the hardware and the software. So ideally your operating system and software should all work better together, since it's basically designed to work as one.
Yeah, that's giving me some flashbacks to the whole RISC. Yeah, as you were talking about PowerPC and the Apple, IBM, Motorola alliance, that was kind of unholy.
Yeah. And I forgot to, Alpha was one of the other chips I was forgetting about. The DEC Alpha
Yeah.
chip.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, Dick.
So I guess the question here is, it's exciting that they always do so much more, but I understand for research and maybe using it for machine learning, artificial intelligence, where you really need a lot of power, calculating power to do things. So that's increased is always welcome. But Diana and Sean, what's your take on this? On when is enough for the everyday user, the power that we get from this computer?
It's interesting because I think we get to the point that we're sort of where the everyday user is going to be okay, but then something will happen. Like there's a shift. Like for example, we were there for a few years, I think, in terms of we could all store our videos and play most of the apps, do most of the productivity apps we needed, but then suddenly we needed to do tons and tons of video. So I think that we get these changes in how we use the tech, and that causes the expansion. The other thing that goes on is like and I was curious if Phil was going to mention Monterey is the new operating system coming out from Apple. I think it's coming out next week, if that's right. Phil will tell me. But we also just had Windows 11, which is like you need to have a certain level of modern hardware in order to run Windows 11. So I think that happens too, as the operating systems kind of push us as consumers because they're going to do so much more. And for us to take advantage, we have to upgrade. I don't know, Phil, what are your thoughts on Monterey?
Yeah, I just saw that the beta was out for that, and just and saw that some people were having problems trying to install the beta. And sometimes when they come out with new versions of the OS, you run into problems. But back on your point about the Windows 11 and think about this new hardware platform, actually Windows 10 actually came out with versions that'll run on ARM processors. So you could actually install on Raspberry Pis. So it's really gonna be interesting to see if the industry is really going to adopt the ARM processors, because you can run Windows on it. And so it really makes you wonder how it's going to go.
Well, for me, it's a question of what is the everyday user. And kind of to the it's not a direct thing that comes to my mind, but I'm just thinking back to the 3D printing, right? Something has to control that, presumably, that printer. Perhaps it's some kind of CAD system that's running on a Mac. And I think about how many, and I was joking about playing my vinyl, but how many people create music, even if it's just hobby, semi-pro, want to be pro, pretending to be pro. There's music, videos, there's, virtual reality, gaming. All these things where we, again, back to where we want these really complex, very integrated, very high energy type activities. They're going to need these types of computers. So it's not just running a spreadsheet or having a pile of videos you want to watch. I think it's creating the videos and the music that goes in them and all that good stuff. So I think there are enough people that have hobbies that require some of these technologies that require the bigger machines.
Yeah. Actually where I'm going with my head is the metaverse and all the virtual reality. Apparently Apple is coming out maybe next year with their virtual reality goggles. So that would be interesting how the microchip that they use integrate with their entire system. And we want to have that stuff realistic.
I want those goggles to listen in on the
vinyl.
The Facebook. I'll listen to vinyl for sure.
I'm gonna put the goggles.
I want them to listen in on the
vinyl.
Facebook sunglasses. To hear what they're hearing.
Well, if the virtual metaverse, it's what we're looking for ahead of us, which I think it is for a lot of people. no need to go into Ready Player One, but cannot think about that and how much power we're gonna need for that stuff. But now I'm getting utopian, dystopian.
Distributed computing, Marco. Think about the podcast we did yesterday, where transhumanism.
Oh yeah,
or forget one big giant chip in a machine with a bunch of stuff. Distribute it throughout the body.
Talking about the next level of edge computing, where the computing happen in your fingers.
You are the edge.
You are the edge, and not the good one from YouTube. The other edge.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, that was a good reference, especially considering that we got the free YouTube free YouTube album several years back through the.
Oh yeah. We did that.
Oh right, yeah.
See how everything get connected back and forth.
James N listening to us live says not interested.
He is not interested. Okay, well that's cool.
Okay.
I'm interested, but I haven't tried virtual reality that much yet. So it's all in my head. I may not be interested once I try in depth.
I tried Second Life. It was very cumbersome, but a friend of mine said that his marketing team has been having marketing meetings in Red Dead Redemption 2, which I can't even begin to imagine what that might be like. But
can you explain us what that is?
Red Dead Redemption 2 is, and I'm probably going to get this a little bit convoluted, is as I understand it, it's sort of it's a mission-based game set in the Old West that has a lot of shooting that goes on. So you have to get your horse and go out and do some. So it's kind of like if you were thinking of like Grand Theft Auto and missions, but it's in the Old West. And I guess that you get into your avatar and you can meet up with friends and go talk to them. So
you have a drink at the salon.
A drink at the saloon, exactly. And
or the salon,
for cutting your hair.
Exactly. I mean, like have a whole spa day at the salon, have your champagne and your. But although, who knows in Red Dead if they have a salon? Maybe they have a beauty parlor. But in any case, apparently this marketing team at this company, they decided, hey, we all really like being in Red Dead, and what's the difference if we're on Zoom or if we're in our game characters in Red Dead Redemption 2? I was a little concerned because I was like, are they talking about anything proprietary, and is it possible that other people might be able to hear it? But it just made me realize that when people were predicting 15 years ago, 10 years ago, that Second Life was going to be where we all did business, that maybe it's not Second Life, but here we are all doing business on Zoom a lot of the time. And now, sure, why not just take that into Red Dead Redemption 2 or whatever game of your choice? I mean, I might want to have meetings in Animal Crossing, and maybe why not?
I may want to have a meeting in Dungeons and Dragons and dress like a wizard. Why not? If that's what I like.
A wizard in Animal Crossing.
The future is going to be interesting, especially the virtual one. And yeah, James, me too. That's why I haven't really tried VR much, because I get car sick, and the few times that I tried the goggles, I had to take them off. So I'm right there with you. Sean, you got any news or what's going on in your neck of the world?
So my news is about Animal Crossing.
Squirrel?
No, really?
No, it's not.
Oh, you got me all excited.
So if it has the word animals, Diana's gonna love it.
Right. Well, maybe it does have animals, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess it does. Insects, anyway.
Okay.
So I'll make this quick because I know we have a pretty hard stop coming.
Yeah, and I have to bring the history one.
Yeah, and I want to get into the history one as well. So this is some research done. Where is it done? I probably should have had that up quickly.
Caltech.
University of Wageningen. It's in the Netherlands anyway. So forgive me for mispronouncing it. But the thing is, and the reason this caught my attention is it's looking at plants and how they react to attacks. And they've been studying the plants to realize that they know not just, well, I guess they analyze if something comes and eats their leaves or nibbles on their petals or chomps away at their roots. They know what it was based on how it chomped and nibbled and the saliva it left behind. And they keep a memory, evidently, of kind of the season of time in which they were nibbled and chomped. And they kind of keep, I think they use the number 5 here. I don't know why, but kind of a series of okay, the moth comes around this time and it's followed by or maybe the caterpillar comes around this time and the moth comes around this time and aphids come around a different time. And basically they know this cycle and they prepare themselves for these types of attacks, and they adjust the chemicals in their leaves or the way they harden their leaves, and they basically respond and prepare themselves and then respond to the attacks that they know are coming based on history.
Wow.
And what was really cool for me, I mean, shocking. I mean, I'm sure everybody listening to this is thinking, okay, so plants can figure this out, yet security program.
now.
Get a plant as a CISO.
Right. And I'm not making a little fun, but in this article, it talks about risk management and plants having the ability to understand the risk they face, when they're likely going to face it, prepare themselves for it, and put up defenses based on the attacks that they're going to have. Now, of course, if there's a locust outbreak, they're probably not going to be prepared for that and get nibbled away to the ground. So there are some risks that you may not be prepared for or know about, or let alone be prepared for, even if you did. But the idea that plants can do this was pretty cool to me. So they changed their physiology, and then overall the ecology of the plant systems kind of take this on with them.
That really is interesting as I mean, well, it's just really interesting, but it also it is interesting in the sense that, there's a lot of debate about nature and nurture and what we learn versus what is innate within our genes and epigenetics. We know that genes can instruct other genes to do, that we can pass down learning that is through the genes, right? Not just through, because with the case of plants, they don't have the same kind of brain function that you'll find even in an insect, for example, and certainly in mammals. When you get out of like reptiles and stuff, you get into mammals and the more complex thinking. So it kind of makes me wonder again, how much of what we do is because our brains are actually getting into the process versus how much do we do because our genes and epigenetics are, because you think about how complex that response is in the plants, and they don't even have a brain they don't have a model view controller to help figure it out. It's all just in their makeup.
And the good news part of this story is that the research isn't just to understand how plants do this, but they're using it to breed new varieties of plants that can grow and sustain in environments where traditionally pesticides have been used. So if they can teach or crossbreed this DNA, if you will, the mindset of the plant without having a mind, into crops where they don't need to use pesticides and other harmful means to control pests, the plants can do it themselves. They can kind of learn their own environment and be prepared for the things that are normally coming their way. That was another cool part of this for me.
But apparently plants have been doing that, and now we try to change the way they do it. Lesson is leave them alone.
Always get in the way, right?
Supercharge it, I guess. Yeah, I was thinking that, because then you'll have GMO, which will be some other, but yeah, which is worse. Try to supercharge the resilience and the defense mechanism of the plant, or spraying some potentially dangerous to bees and other insects, pesticide on it. Yeah, other useful insects. Well, all insects are useful, but you know what I mean.
I can get controversial because so we don't want to modify the plant, and I understand that. Yet we're fine modifying ourselves with medications and things. I don't know.
So Phil, what can a pen tester learn from this?
What can a pen tester
from a
learn?
plant that react to the bite of the insect and all that Sean said? How is that about being ready and prepared? And
yeah, don't let your customers bite you.
And in fairness, James, I did pick on the organizations. They don't get it right. James makes a good point. Some actually do.
Yeah.
Well, but it's a trial and error and it's experience, right? So you figure out what something happened constantly, like the plant, and they're like, you know what, this is gonna keep happening. I better do something. Except that maybe they change their behavior in many generations, transmitting different genes in the DNA, and we need to adapt a little faster than that, I guess. Okay.
I'll tell you that every time I hear about just how complex their lives are, and we know now that plants feel pain, it's like a little part of me is like, because like I became a vegan because I wanted to stop hurting things, and like the more and more I learn, like there's just no way to be on this planet and survive without some.
It's all connected. That's what we learn. It was like the beautiful. This Strange Rock was the TV show with Will Smith that they go with the people that astronauts have been spending time in space on the International Space Station, and how they change perspective in looking at from the top how everything is literally connected on the planet.
Yeah.
Talking about documentaries and videos, and I want to involve Phil into this short news, and I know we have a hard stop in 10 minutes. So my news was that a day in history, October 19, 1985, the first BlockBuster video rental stores opened in Dallas, Texas. So it's kind of in your neighborhood, Phil, and it's in a passion that you have, which is movies.
Yeah.
And what I wanted to talk, apart from the rise and fall of of BlockBuster, I always mix the two.
Are you breaking news here, Mark?
Wow, I know. What do you know about
Starbucks is doing okay, I guess.
It's a prediction.
It's not really good. It's not my cup of coffee, but it's doing all right.
You heard it here, folks.
Yeah, exactly.
Breaking news.
Write this down. It's my subconscious that is reading the future, right?
And the demise is originating in Dallas, Texas, is what I hear.
Exactly, instead of Seattle. So now my point I wanted to talk about is how things have changed in the way that we consume movies, of course, and documentaries with the advent of the cassette, which was before, of course, BlockBuster came around, but BlockBuster made it omnipresent all over pretty much the United States and in other places. But how, from a societal perspective, and I know that we were already born at that time. I think most of us, all of us.
Yep.
and what that means for somebody that is passionate about movies and be able to consume the movie when you want to watch it again and record stuff, compared with it's either the movie theater or when the TV channel show it to you. I think it means a lot, but everybody probably has a different memory about it.
Yeah, it's just amazing. Who would have ever thought that, before in the BlockBuster days that you had to go rent movies while, the stores are open, and now you have like Redbox if you're still consuming things like through DVDs or Blu-ray discs, you're able to pick those up when you want. But who would have ever thought back then in the BlockBuster days that you'd be able to get movies when the store was closed? And it's interesting the way technology evolves to take away these business models. So you really have to evolve to stay up with the technology, because, pretty much all these I think all the BlockBusters are gone now, and you really don't see, places outside Redbox anymore to be able to rent videos.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's true. And I do remember that feeling of, remember we used to wait every year for It's the Great Pumpkin. Well, I used to wait every year for It's the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown. And the other day we were done with, I guess we were watching Ted Lasso, and I looked on Apple, and they have all the Peanuts specials, and it's just so strange, kind of to your point earlier, Sean, of like, I mean, maybe I appreciate it, or maybe do the kids appreciate it less because they can watch the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown whenever they want, as opposed to, waiting for once a year. And, remember that? Like, you didn't want to leave the room and go get a snack or anything because you're like, you had half an hour. You just sit there and watch, and that was your one chance all year.
Everybody's just thinking about these movies that we used to watch at that specific times. But like as Phil said, and Sean, I think you have something to say about this, is because we were talking about the business model of how Netflix changed the perception of how you consume stuff. But again, going back to your initial thoughts and news, Diana, about we need to put things into context, how much of a big revolution was the VHS at the time, and the fact that you could access a place that maybe was not a mom and pop shows with a limited amount of video available, and then the BlockBuster come in with, kind of with the good and the bad, because the mom and pop shop, they definitely got hurt by that. But the consumption of it, and I don't know, the time spent inside those big store and finally picking a movie and realizing it's not available. It's like, damn it. And then you pay the late fees and all of that.
You have to look behind every cover box first just to find out.
Yeah,
that's right.
Don't get too attached to something without knowing if it was there.
Yeah, it's just a bunch of covers. Yeah.
Yeah. So, Marco, I don't know if I'm thinking that the innovation. I know we talked a bit about this in an episode, but the innovation of, was it the tape itself that was innovative? Was it the distribution model that they decided to stand up all the stores that was innovative? Let's be honest. I mean, we were looking at the VAS, right? It survived. It's high quality. It's valuable. It has at least some sentimental value, and certainly probably an antique value there. And other antique VHS tapes, do we get satisfaction watching a VHS? And then I'm thinking in comparison to listening to a vinyl record, there's something special about a vinyl record. We want to listen to that, but a VHS, where it's probably all warbly and probably going to get caught in the rewinder after you watch it anyway, so it's going to be toast. The quality isn't there. So the innovation of the tape doesn't really strike me as exciting. But
I think it was the way you consume it that was different. I agree with you. The quality certainly wasn't better. Phil, do you still have a VHS and a VHR?
We still have a VCR. We just we've kind of kept it. We don't use it. It's just we just kind of have it here in the closet somewhere.
You just can't get rid of it. You want it.
I kind of held on to it till I could get some of my wrestling videotapes converted.
Yeah.
So
nice.
Yeah. So I held on to it to get that converted. But
and see that was probably another unique point where you could record what you wanted.
Yep.
Right.
Yes, that was a big deal because it was so expensive.
Yeah.
Earlier,
so to Phil's point, he now has something important to him captured in a way that he can consume it. Now, again, it's not going to last long in that format, so hopefully you get it off at some point. But
it's on YouTube now, so.
Well, and if you remember, there was something in between where there was the TiVo, where you could do the recording without having to do having to have the VHS, and there was again technology that it's always evolving in something else, and you may love the consumption of something and not, and it's passionate, and I hope something never gonna die, like the book. right? I mean, I love audiobook,
Hmm.
but just because it's convenient. But if I could choose, I would probably just read the book.
There
So,
you go.
yeah.
The common thread here is what we want on demand. The on demand, that's what we really want.
It is on demand. Yeah. Yeah. I want it now. Like, what is it? Violet Beauregard. I want it and I want it now.
But you know, one thing that I'm thinking right now is, you know, like now you own music that you don't really own, because the moment that you're going to stop paying for the pro, your library is like poof, and it's gone. All your playlist or whatever you have. So you need to be conscious about that. But I still have vinyl that about when I was a kid, and I'm not gonna get rid of them, and I always gonna own them. So this habit of renting something as a service versus owning something. Same thing, Sean, you were making fun on that podcast we did the other day, and we were saying things like, oh, you had to return the tape, and now you said, Sean, yeah, but now you only have like 24 hours to watch whatever you've been renting online, because otherwise it expires anyway, unless you want to buy it, and in that case you have it. So we're still trapped.
We're still trapped. The almighty buck will rule.
You can buy it and store it up in Amazon. And if you buy music through Amazon, you can download it and back it up on hard drives if you want to. So but I mean, that's a whole lot less. I mean, vinyl records are gorgeous, right? They kind of glow, and there's this wonderful tactile feel. And if you ever DJ, right, that like pulling it back to cue it up just perfectly with, as soon as the needles, there's just so much fun about vinyl that I think when you think about VHS or even, getting MP3s sitting on a hard drive, you kind of lose so much of that. In addition to the fact that they sound very cool on vinyl. Songs sound cool on vinyl.
And they're really cool when it's a picture disc.
Oh, yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah.
The good old scratching on the vinyl.
Yeah.
Well, listen, I know we have a hard stop here.
Yep.
So I want to thank everybody for listening in, catching up with us live, interacting with us on social media. Huge thanks to Phil for joining us and bringing some cool tech news to bear. Look at that. More honks for you.
Honks for you. It's all for Phil.
Do you have a sound machine there that you
a sound machine just for Phil.
No, we're so lucky to have the hosting family on ITSP Magazine that we have, and Phil, what you're doing for the hacking community is amazing, and I love the fact that people are getting that, and keep doing it, man. We love to have you on.
And thank you, Diana. Thank you, Marco. Thanks everybody for joining us this week on Through the TechVine.
Stay tuned for next episodes, and that will be the Halloween one. So maybe we'll really have a sound machine then. And talking about sounds, Phil, thank you so much. Diana already gone. Play the music. We're out. See you next. And we'll talk to you next week, same time.
Blue Lava is the first business platform for CISOs to manage their security program. Blue Lava guides security leaders to effectively measure, optimize, and communicate their security program with confidence and ease in one platform. Learn more at bluelava.net. We hope you enjoyed this episode of Through the TechVine podcast. If you learned something new and this podcast made you think, then share itspmagazine.com with your friends, family, and colleagues. If you represent a company and wish to associate your brand with our conversations, sponsor one or more of our podcast channels. We hope you will come back for more stories and follow us on our journey. You can always find us at the intersection of technology, cybersecurity, and society.